Okay, here we are on the lovely Royal River Trail system, and it's nice. There's tons of green space around, but also you notice these giant hydro towers. We are on a route of essential services. Perhaps you can hear in the background. There's my darling wife. Say hello, Rochelle. Just up beyond that ridge is the Hannon. Oh, you just saw a car driving by. So another essential service, that big highway. And an interesting thing about this hydro area is that we seem to find hydro areas sometimes kind of in conjunction with a green space. And I believe, this is just my guess, I believe that might be because hydro areas can lower property values. People tend to not want to live super close to big high voltage. But it does not really take away, it doesn't take that much away anyway from a green space. So lots and lots of hiking can happen through here, and it's not at the cost of the hydro space. As a matter of fact, the two sort of help each other out. That's my thought. So here we are on the mighty Speed River. If you look just a little bit further up this river, you'll see an old factory right there, the limestone, that sort of grayish limestone exterior. That's part of this old factory called WC Woods, and this is that factory that ended up shutting down right around when you were in junior kindergarten. So in 2010, this factory shut down and had to move. Just wait for this bus to go by. And the downtown core, they decided to repurpose this, and they allowed a developer to turn it into some really high-class condos. And if you look over here at their marketing, right? So this is what they've sold people. They've sold people a new lifestyle. You come down here and you live in the heart of the city on the river right there. The riverfront center is only half a kilometer up the river there. And check this out. They've used a Tesla, a sign of environmental luxury, and they've used a Porsche Cayenne along with some beautiful trees and families walking together, stuff like this. That's what they're selling here. Okay. Yeah, so there's going to be another tower. You can see they're making another high rise. Maybe it'll be 8 or 10 stories tall. But yes, this is what's happening in downtown Guelph. There used to be fridges and freezers made right here for 80 years. And now, as we saw, that factory shut its doors and had to move. All right, so here we are just off of Alice Street, actually kind of near, there's a jam school location just down here, and there's Holy Rosary School close by. But what I want you to see is we've got this sign here saying that there's a zone change application has been submitted to permit 86 unit apartment building and 96 stacked and clustered townhouses. Now, this is big bucks. There's a huge amount of money pouring into this, and if you just look at this factory. It just looks so derelict. The windows are smashed, the paint is peeling off. But as we get a little closer, can you get a shot of that marketing there? So here, once again, they're repurposing a downtown Guelph factory to change it into some pretty nice condo living. So now, just down here, actually, if we go straight ahead, there's a red brick building at the end of this street, and that is that's another old factory that the exact same thing was done to. The city gave permission to rezone this building and turn it from an old factory into a beautiful new set of condos. I mean, these things go for hundreds of thousands of dollars each, and there are many, many of them in here. I don't know how many, but it's enough that it is significant. Here we are right back at the WC, the site of the former WC Woods factory. But as you've seen, I mean, this is just a huge change. And again, each one of these condo units is going for a few $100,000, if not several $100,000. And some of the upper ones at the top are going for into the millions. Okay, and it's they're trying to turn it into such a neat area. We've actually got, check this out, there's a bar. They've built a beautiful, they call it Spring Mill Distillery, beautiful bar here. And you see, here we are on train tracks now. These train tracks would have been built specifically to facilitate these factories being close by.
Is that good?
All right, so here we are now on the outskirts of Guelph, and we see this big for lease sign, and that's the Sleeman Brewery in the background. Now that land that's for lease, there will be a factory or a warehouse or something industrial created there. Folks, my son and I are now driving into Guelph's largest, what we call industrial park. No one is allowed to build a house here. They can have certain retail outlets, like you'll see some stores down around here. But a lot of the big vehicles around here, they're all transport trucks. They bought cheap land on the outskirts of town. At least temporarily, it's the outskirts of town. If things keep going the way it looks, there are going to be houses built all down around here. But they needed a ton of electricity. They needed a ton of land. They need to be close to a big highway. And I can only imagine there are train tracks that run down through here. So, yeah, folks, the idea of factories moving to the outskirts of town, we see that very clearly right here in our own backyard. Oh, this is what the factory was like just seemingly moments before it shut down. I mean, it was in full operation. It was a huge employer for Guelph. A lot of people worked there, and anyway, yeah. So this was a video that was shot for nostalgic purposes while people were preparing to leave this place that they had worked for years and years and years. That's the inside of a fridge. There it is. But let's move on to the part where here's the destruction of it. Okay, and those are some of the old buildings that are left over. They're still around. They didn't actually take those ones down, and those are ones that we saw in the video just before. And if you look here, so this is, can I move this over? Can you see more of that screen? No. Okay. But that's what it used to be. And then when they were going to take it down and try and figure out a new purpose for it, they thought that these buildings had some kind of a heritage value to them. And so there's this tons of paperwork here. But it does outline here, if you're looking up here, the buildings on the site, constructed between 1835. So some of these buildings are older than Canada. You can see why they decided to keep it on as a heritage structure,
right? This does make sense to a certain extent. But man, it's great that they're repurposing the area. Instead of building outwards and taking up more farm fields, they're building upwards and allowing for a greater population to grow in downtown Guelph.